Hello friends, this is Vikas Shakya and today I will show you something regarding the mutexes in C Sharp. In C Sharp you must have studied about the threading and apart from threading you must have understood about the concept of process and the synchronization needs among the threads. So if we talk about the mutex, then mutex is a kernel object. Kernel object means it is available throughout the system. So if one process knows about one mutex, then if you can access the mutex, same mutex in some other process, then that process is also aware about the same mutex. So that same mutex is available to both the processes. Okay, so let me show you one example how you can synchronize the things using the mutex. Okay, so let's start one application. So here I'm going to create one application which is in C Sharp. So this is a C Sharp application, console app. Just select this console application in C Sharp and then give it a name, console mutex. Then just create it. It's a C Sharp application and I'm just creating it in C Sharp language. So what I will do that this console mutex will be my application which will be running on the system. Okay, so I'm just going to write something here and just need to, this is already written there, so that's good. It's already provided by the default implementation which is provided by the .NET framework for the C Sharp language. So here I just need to do one more thing so that it stops here. So I just need to write console.readline, read key basically. So why I'm doing this, because it should wait till I press some key to stop this application. Okay, so my application will wait here. Okay, so if my application is waiting here, then in that case, until I provide any key, I press any key on the keyboard, till then this application will be running. So let's see. I'm just going to build it. And let's open the location of this project. This is the location of this project, and let's go to the bin folder. Inside bin there is a debug folder, and inside debug folder, since I'm using Visual Studio 2019, so inside the debug folder or in release folder you will be able to see this one as well, net core app 3.1 folder. So if I double click on it, then I can see my console mutex.exe, which is the application which I can execute. Okay, so just open a command prompt here, just open one more command prompt here. I have opened two command prompts and let's see what it does for us. Second one is this, first one is this. So let's do this. So here I am just going to type mutex, console mutex, and just press enter. Then you will be able to see the output as hello world. And if I do the same thing here, console mutex.exe or just console mutex, then in that case it will also print hello world. So basically both the applications are running here, right? But there may be some instances, there may be some occasions where you want that if one instance of my application is running, then other instance of the same application should not run. Okay, sometimes it is required that it is the need of some application that only one instance should run because of some synchronization problems. Okay, some accidental access, we don't want to do any kind of accidental things, so for that we allow only one instance of an application to run. So here what I want, like if one of my application is running and it is waiting for a key or waiting in a while loop or doing something, then in that case the second instance, if I run the second instance of console mutex, then it should show me that one instance is already running. Either you need to wait that to complete or you need to get out of this application. Okay, so we will try both the things. So first I will show you one exercise where I will just stop one instance if some other instance is already running, and by giving the message that another instance is already running. And then I will show you one more example, like if one instance is running, then the other instance will wait till the first instance is done, right? So both things we will try using the mutex. And then in next video we will discuss about the synchronization among the threads which are in the same process and which are in the different process. Okay, so basically when we talk about the main function, then this main function is also a thread which is running inside the instance of this application. Whenever you run this console mutex, then you are running an instance of your application. So here we are running the two instances of the same application, console mutex, right? So I just need to finish it, just need to finish this one. So what I will do now, I will just stop other instance to run when one instance is already running. So for that, I need to use the mutex. To use the mutex, you need to give something like system.threading. This is the class, the namespace. Threading namespace is there, where there is a class called mutex. There is a class called thread. So thread class is there, mutex class is there, semaphore class is there. Everything which is used for the thread synchronization is there, right? So if you have to use the mutex, then in that case you just need to import this. Just need to include this namespace system.threading. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to create an instance of mutex. M is equal to new mutex. So there are four variations of the mutex class constructor. So we will use the fourth one, where we need to provide three things. The first argument is to tell the system whether you are the owner of this mutex. If you want to become the owner of this mutex, then just pass it true. As of now, for the time being, just put it true. I will let you know what is the meaning of this true and what it does if I have provided true. Okay, and what is the meaning of false. Both we will see how it works and what is the difference between the true and false values for this first argument. Okay, so I have provided this true. As of now, just remember that if you have provided true here, then you become the owner of the mutex. Okay, you are the owner of this mutex. This process instance, any instance which will first run, that will become the owner of this mutex. Okay, and the second argument is the name of the mutex. You can create an unnamed mutex, right? In that case, that mutex is available to your process only. It is not available to other processes. But if you have created a mutex which has some name, just like here, I'm going to provide a name, dummy mutex, and then another argument is an out variable which indicates whether a mutex has already been created or not, right? So here I need to give bool be created, right? So I have given false value, so I'm just going to give it here be created, and like this out. Whenever there is an out variable, then you need to mention this out keyword. Okay, so what will happen with this? Why I have given this variable be created? The thing is that when the first instance of this application will run, then in that case this mutex will be created for the first time. Okay, so this be created will come out to be true. Alright, and if this application is running and meanwhile some other application, some other instance of the same application is started, then in that case for that instance this be created will be false. Okay, so for your convenience, I just need to write the code if be created, then just print console dot write line created the mutex fresh. Okay, so this has been created a fresh mutex here, and else what I need to do, console dot write line it. Since the mutex has already been created, so I will not put any message like mutex has already been created. My purpose is that if mutex is already created, then it means some instance is already running. All right. So if the instance is already running, then I need to just write no cannot run as one instance is already running. Okay, so write this. Okay, but if this is the fresh instance, the first instance, then in that case, what I will do, I will do something like this. On mutex, I will just wait. Okay, and then I will just print write line hello world, press any key to close application app instance. Okay, something like that I have written here. Okay, then after printing this, this will wait for some keystroke by the user of the application. And if the keystroke has been provided, if the user has pressed any key on the keyboard, then it will just do m.release mutex. So this way the mutex will be released and this application will come to an end. Okay. So what it will do, it will create a mutex. If you are the first instance, then this will print this one, created the mutex fresh, and then it will wait here on the mutex. Since no one else, in case of first instance, no one else, none other than this instance has logged on this one. No one is waiting on this one. Since this is the first instance, in that case, this will return immediately, and it will go here console.writeLine hello world, press any key to close app instance. Okay, and then it will wait for read key. It will wait for user to provide some key, and then it will release the mutex. Once you have provided any key, once you have pressed any key, it will just do a release mutex. Okay, and when you will run the second instance, what will happen? It will show you this message, cannot run as one instance is already running, and this should exit from here, turn 0, rather than you don't need to return anything. You just need to write return because it's a void function. You just need to simply return from this main function to stop it. Okay, so my purpose is like one instance should run, and if another instance of the same application I'm going to execute, then in that case it should show this message, cannot run as one instance is already running, and then it should return immediately. So let's see if it happens or not. So we are again in the same path. Just build it. I have built it and I am here again. Both the command prompts for the same location have been opened. So I will just console mutex. I will just run this console mutex. Okay, so it has given me the message, created the mutex fresh, and it is printing the message hello world, and then press any key to close app instance. Right, so what will happen if I run the second instance? Console mutex. It simply gave me cannot run as one instance is already running. This instance is already running because I have not pressed any key to close the application instance. If I will press any key, then it will release the mutex, and then it will be available to the other one. Okay. So if I press any key here, then in that case both the application, this instance I will be able to run. Okay, now this application is run, instance is running. Okay, so press the key and then just stop it. So my first example of creating an instance, running an instance of an application is successful. I'm able to run only one instance here using the mutex. Okay, now what I just don't want the another instance to return. All right, I just want that my instance should wait, the other instance should wait for the first instance to complete. Right, since I'm not returning, so the second instance, after showing this message, after displaying this message that cannot run as one instance is already running, it will start waiting here. Since first instance will be locking it, first instance will get the access to this mutex, because first instance, since first instance doesn't have anyone who has acquired the mutex, so the first instance will go there, it will print hello world and will be waiting here. But the second instance will come here and keep waiting till you call this release mutex. Okay, so I've done a small change, I'm not returning from here. So I'm just updating the message also here. Cannot run, rather than cannot run, just write like wait till other instance finishes. Okay, so I'm just waiting till another instance finishes. Just need to compile it. Okay, so just run the first application instance and try to run the second instance. So you can see that second instance is saying that wait till the other instance finishes. Okay, so let's finish the first instance. And if you run the second instance, you can see that there is an unhandled exception coming. Okay, so I was expecting that rather than this exception, it will show me this message, because after the first instance has released the mutex, it should be able to go to the next statement. The second instance should go to the next, this is statement hello world, right? First instance was reading this key, was waiting to read this key, any key, but the second instance was waiting here. But when you press the key, the mutex was released, then the second instance should come here, but the second instance threw an exception. So second instance is throwing an exception. Why this exception came? You can see that this the system.threading.abandon mutex exception. Why this comes? Okay, the answer lies here. When you created the mutex, you passed the first argument as true, which means that this instance, whosoever will be running first, that will become the owner of this mutex. And please remember that if any instance is the owner of the mutex, then in that case, once it releases it, this mutex will no longer exist and it will become abandoned mutex, since you are the owner. If owner dies, then mutex becomes abandoned. You need to remember this. Sometimes these things are asked in many interview questions, that what is an abandoned mutex, right? So if you have passed this true, then you have become the owner. The first instance became the owner of this mutex, and that is why when the mutex was released by the first instance, then the second instance was not able to get this, because this mutex was abandoned. We were done with the mutex, right? So if I pass false here, false means I am not the owner of this mutex. So if I am not the owner of the mutex, then in that case, what will happen? It will not show me any abandoned exception, because I am not the owner. So after the first instance is done, this mutex is still alive. This mutex will still be there in the system. Okay, but if you pass true, then in that case, system takes care of this thing that this mutex was owned by a particular instance. So as soon as that instance will be done, the kernel memory will itself remove this mutex object from the kernel. Right? We never remove any kernel object from the kernel memory. It's all done based on the reference counting and being owner of the mutex or not being the owner of the mutex. If you are the owner of the mutex, then the system remembers it, and whenever the kernel memory management module runs, then it finds out that this instance was the owner of this mutex. So as soon as it is done, I just need to remove this mutex from the memory, and that is why this mutex is abandoned. You cannot use it. Okay, but if you have passed false, then your problem will be solved because you are not the owner of the mutex. So in that case, what will happen? The kernel memory management knows that there is no owner of this mutex, so it will wait for all the processes, all the instance of the processes who are waiting on this mutex to complete. If one instance is using this mutex, then the reference count is maintained by the kernel memory as 1 for this mutex. If second instance comes and it also acquires this mutex, it also tries to acquire this mutex, or it also gets this mutex, then in that case, that particular instance will cause this mutex count to become 2. Not mutex count, basically the reference count for this mutex will become 2. So when first instance will be done, the reference count will become 1, 2 minus 1. Earlier the 2 instances were there, so 1 instance will be done, then the reference count will be decreased by 1, decremented by 1. Okay, so after release mutex, after first instance releases the mutex, the reference count becomes -1. Total -1. There were 2, then 2 minus 1 is equal to 1, but still one reference count is there. So since one reference count is there, so my kernel management module, kernel memory management module will not remove this mutex. When my second instance will also be done with this release mutex, then in that case, this mutex will be released from the kernel memory. Alright, so let's see if our problem gets fixed or not, and then we will be done with this. So just do this thing, created the mutex, fresh, hello world, press any key to close instance, and now here I just need to clean and just need to write this console mutex. It is showing me wait till other instance finishes, so let's finish this. Okay, I just made one mistake, I just didn't compile it, sorry for that. So we have compiled it again, and now we will see what happens. Console mutex, it works perfectly fine. It is waiting for user to press any key, and here what will happen? It is saying me wait till other instance finishes. So I just need to finish this, and then you will be able to see that it has also printed hello world, press any key to close app instance. And now if you close it, press any key, then this is also successfully done. So now I guess you have understood it, like how it works, how the mutexes works, and how you can use the mutexes in such kind of scenarios, right? So this main thread is in one instance. When you run the second instance, then there is another thread in another instance is running. So mutex is used to synchronize the threads which are running in different processes. You cannot use the locks. I will tell you about the locks. You cannot use the locks to synchronize the threads in this way. If you will try with the locks, you will not be able to stop the other application to run, other instance to run basically. Why? Because the locks are only available at the user level. They are not the kernel level objects, right? So locks are the simple user mode objects, but this mutex and semaphores, which we will discuss further, those are the kernel level objects. And that's why the kernel level objects are available to every process in the system. They are available system wide. And that is why you can control the execution of the various instances, or you can say the various applications which are using the same mutex. All right. So this was all for today. I hope you got the point which I was trying to explain you, and the kind of theory I told you in between showing you this application demo. You might have understood that one as well, and that is very much important to understand the concept of mutexes. So we will meet soon. So till then, have a nice day. Bye bye, and please share, like, and subscribe my channel, and you will find more such programs, more such examples on my channel. I will keep updating new videos. I will upload new things again. Okay. So have a nice day. Bye bye.